phase where, or that time in your life where something in you is just starting to stir up. Maybe you're starting to come alive again. You have spent time in your life where you're done the inner work. You are focused on your healing. You're reflecting, you're recalibrating, you're reevaluating your life. And now something is starting to shift. Something is stirring inside of you. Maybe it's like the spark inside. You just know there's this truth that is wanting to be free, and you want to be seen. You want to speak more. You want to speak your truth more. You want to create and share and move and live and be free, and not just in theory but out loud. And that doesn't necessarily mean in the spotlight, which we'll touch on. Just means about being you fully, and not only living your light but allowing the light in. You're radiating. And that's what this phase is. It's the radiance phase. So, really quick, hi, I'm Destiny Rael. I'm a trauma informed life and grief coach. And this video is part of my Destiny Map, which is my framework for navigating life seasons of change and transformation, which we all go through many times over, sometimes in order, sometimes in its own cycle and transitions. So we've already moved through the disruption phase, which is usually when things fall apart in your life or something is really altered. Then last week we went through the reflection phase, which is really about just reevaluating and reflecting and reassessing and even remembering parts of yourself. And now we've reached the season of radiance where your light starts to return. And like I said, you also start to see the light. It's like you've opened the blinds up and you start seeing the clouds part and a little light coming through. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through what this phase really is, what it needs and is asking of you, and also 2 soulful practices that are going to help you embody it and really to help move you through this phase. So if you are just feeling that pull to start being seen again, to start showing up more boldly and more your truth, to express yourself, to show up more fully, stay with me because we are going to walk through it together. So let's talk about what this phase really is. And oftentimes in this phase, you're not the same person you were even yesterday or an hour ago or a month ago, but you're especially not the same person you were when you've walked through a storm or the challenges. I mean, I can speak of that myself. I've just had a rough few months, and just coming home after being out of town, and it's like it's just not the same, because when you come out of something like that, you have grown, you're deeper, you have more insight, more perspective, and you just are not the same person, and you come back with a new insight. And that's when the light can start to come through, and that really inner truth and that inner spark starts returning, even if it's a little faint. So you might notice that in this phase, you feel a little awkward or, you're vulnerable, because it's really calling more of that visibility. And again, it's not about being in the spotlight, it's just being more truthful. And that can feel like you're exposing yourself. It also can make you feel proud. It can feel very empowering. It can also be scary. You might be feeling excited, but yet at the same sense, you were feeling unsure. So, what might that look like in real life? Well, you might notice that you want to raise your hand in a meeting where you want to share an idea that you've been sitting on. Maybe the old version of you would have never spoke up, but now you're saying, you know what? Hey, I've got a great idea. Or maybe you start telling a partner or someone important in your life how you really feel rather than just saying, I'm fine. Or maybe you start posting something really personal or truthful online that reflects your truth and who you really are, not just what you think other people want to hear or see. Or more, you stop holding yourself back because you're afraid of what people are going to think. Or maybe you start wearing something that feels a little bit more like you, even if it's a little bolder or it's out of your, old way of showing up. You might just start speaking up in ways that you might have been quiet before. Whatever it is, These are small moments of self expression, and that is the essence of the radiance phase. It's you being you, it's how your light begins to take form in the world again. And radiance isn't just about like shining this big light, it's really about also letting it back in. About letting your light shine, and you don't always have to make a big announcement about it because it's just your truth being exposed and free. And you let yourself start to be available to life again. It's really the season of blooming. It's where your roots start taking form, even if it's still wet, even if you're still in the storm. And trust me, I get that. Now, I've already mentioned, but this phase is not about necessarily being in the spotlight. You don't have to necessarily be bold and out there. You don't have to start the podcast or write the book, although maybe that's part of it. But it is about self expression. It's about letting your soul speak through, whether it's through art, whether it's through writing, whether it's through movement, whether it's through music. It's through your presence. You're not performing, it's about you showing up because it's who you are. Radiance is the season of reclaiming and rising. It's when you stop waiting for permission and you start to take up space, because you don't need permission from other people. You don't need that approval. And actually, in this phase, you start letting go of even the desire to have that approval. And when you've reflected long enough to know what matters in your life, then you start really being ready to let your truth live out loud. So you might notice that you're craving more creativity or more visibility. Maybe you're ready to start using your voice, even if you're nervous about it. Or maybe you're really starting to set clear boundaries and protect your energy and honor your growth. And that's just as important, because it's not just about, expressing yourself, but it's also about knowing where your boundaries are, because you're not chasing confidence. You're not chasing other people's approval. You're practicing it. You're living it. And the more you express yourself, the more natural it's going to feel, and the more people are going to respond to that. So let's talk about what this phase is really needing and asking of you. And the first thing is first, which is radiance needs your honesty and expression. It's asking you to stop editing yourself. It's asking you to stop trying to fit in to other people's versions of you. It's asking you to be who you are and stop trying to be something you're not. It's about really meeting the version of you that's here and now, especially if you've come out of challenges or the reflection phase where you have gotten new insight and really are clear about who you are and where you want to go. This is the time to start showing up as that authentic version of yourself. So, how would this look? It might look like having that real conversation that you've been avoiding. Maybe it's with your boss or your friend or a partner, and you start telling the truth without trying to control their reaction. You are showing up without hiding or dimming or holding yourself back for fear of how they might respond or what they do or don't do. You might start updating your creative work or your business goals. You start saying no to things. And I always say, and it's not a saying I made up, but sometimes your no is a yes to something else. So you start saying no to more things that are no longer aligning. And it really opens up the space for things that are really, truly meant for you. Or maybe you start letting yourself be photographed or interviewed or noticed or even celebrated more. You start receiving compliments, and rather than deflecting, you just simply say thank you. You might start reclaiming parts of yourself that you've dimmed or you've shut down. Maybe your playfulness or your sensuality or your humor or your confidence. And you start letting them breathe again. You start letting them have voice again. You start letting those parts of you come alive. The other thing Radiance is asking for is discernment. Discernment's a big one, because as your light starts to grow and amplify, you're really going to start to notice what no longer resonates. And some people just may not be ready for that. They may not be ready for, this version of you, let alone celebrate it. And that's okay. Your growth does not need approval, and it doesn't need universal approval. And really, that's going to be your work, is knowing that your phase, or this radiance phase, is about shining anyway, showing up anyway, regardless of other people's response. So you really want to show up and choose that vulnerability, choose your truth, and choose authenticity over acceptance. I'm going to say that again. You're going to choose authenticity over acceptance. This phase is all about courage, because it's not easy. It's not easy to be yourself all the time. It's not easy to shine your light. And that's why we keep ourselves hidden. That's why we play small. But this phase is not allowing that. It's about really showing up anyway. So, coaching tools that might support you in this phase, and I want to offer you two today. The first one is the expression practice. It's about letting your light move through you, because expression is the heart of this phase. It's not about what you produce, it's about what you release. It's about what you free up in yourself, especially because when energy starts building up, and emotions and truth and inspiration and even excitement, or even your own pain and frustrations, let's just call it truth. You don't want to keep it contained. It needs to move, it needs to speak, it needs to sing, it needs to paint, it needs to dance, it needs to be written. So the more you let the energy in you move through you, the more alive you're going to feel. That's what radiance is. That's what living your light is. That's what living your truth is. So I want you to try this. If you can, set aside 20 or 30 minutes and just let your body, instead of your head, try not to think, just allow your body and your heart and your soul move. Maybe you grab paints, or you get crayons out, or even grab a journal, or maybe you just start singing out loud. Whatever feels natural, I want you to ask yourself this question: what wants to come through me right now? Don't overthink it. Don't try to make it meaningful or poetic. Just let it be raw, messy, beautiful. But I want you to tune into your body. I want you to feel that in yourself. What is trying to move through you? And let it, allow it. And it brings me to one of my own personal favorite tools that I offer. It's called Color Your Soul. I do it one-on-one or as a workshop, but it's really where I invite you to reconnect to that inner spark, where you get to express yourself through art and journaling and intuitive reflection, where I invite you to identify your soul as a color. And we go through a whole process, but you walk away with a painting of your soul's essence. It's really powerful, and I'll leave it in the show notes. But if that's something that you're drawn to, please reach out to me. Or again, I'll leave the information in the show notes, because it's such a great way to express yourself, and not just paint, but by identifying yourself through color. And it's a powerful tool. So it's called Color Your Soul. I'll leave it in the show notes, and you can explore that more, or even book a call with me and we can talk about it together. The second tool that I want to offer you is the alignment practice. And this is where you're going to protect and direct your light. Because every time your light starts to grow and gets bigger, you're going to notice what dims it. In fact, it's going to stand out like a sore thumb, whether it's certain spaces you go into, or the environment you're in, or people you're around, or even habits or choices. It might feel like you're constricting yourself, or you're playing small. You're going to notice it instantly. So instead of forcing yourself to fit in or be something you're not, it's going to invite you to really notice what happens in your body. Does it contract, or does it expand? Are you playing small, or you feel free? Radiance is going to help you really look at those choices and choose accordingly. So you can make it simple. I want you to take out a piece of paper or get a journal and draw two columns. And on the one hand, on the one column, you're going to draw what expands me. And on the other column, you're going to draw what drains me. And I want you to let that awareness guide you in how you spend your time, and what you commit to, and the people that you're around, and the environments that you're in, and what you need to release in your life. Because boundaries that you set for yourself are an act of devotion, not distance. They protect the light you've worked so hard to reclaim. So it's really, really, really important to notice what is keeping you small and what is keeping you from shining that light of yours and radiating. So I hope those tools are supportive and helpful and a little bit of a start to help you really move through this phase, because radiance isn't about, well, it is about returning to yourself, but it isn't always about just being loud and bold. It's just about being you. It's about your being bold in your story and to stop hiding and to embody yourself and your life. And you don't have to perform, you don't have to be something you're not. You just participate in life. You're saying yes to your life. You are saying yes to creation. You're saying yes to relationships that embolden you and empower you. And that's powerful. So I do want to invite you, if you've been in this season, or I'm sorry, in the series, but if you haven't taken the Destiny Map quiz yet, you can do so. I'll leave the link below. And it really will either confirm and validate this phase or maybe help walk you through another phase that you're in. And of course, I mentioned Color Your Soul, and I'll leave that because it's just such a great way to connect to yourself through art and transformational practices. And then, of course, if you just want support, you know you want to start showing up more bold and brave in your life, but you know something's holding you back, I invite you to just schedule a free connection call with me, no strings attached. We can just talk about what phase you're in, how I might be able to support you, and perhaps even talk about ways that we can work together in deeper ways. So I hope that this has been helpful for you and that you can start radiating, living your truth out loud. And because it's not about pretending, it's about being your light, and your light deserves to shine. And last but not least, stay with me. I'm going to meet you back in the next video, which is all about the becoming phase. And this is where we start not only living out loud, but we start embodying and we start really becoming our truth, where our inner world and our outer world starts to align, and it just is. So stick around. I'll see you in the next video. And until then, thank you for being here.